Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's episode is all about the new Flesh Beauty line. Flesh. That word is so foul and so disgusting. I'm thinking that they must have picked that word specifically because it's like the only word in existence that is more disgusting than moist. Moist flesh. I used to think moist panties was the worst word combination ever, but moist flesh is kind of bad too. So we're going to get into this. I'm basically going to kind of apply all this stuff to my face, all the stuff that I purchased, which is a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of the line. And we're going to do a full day wear test. So if you're interested in that, then just keep on watching. All right. So specifically, I got the foundation. I got the Tender Flush Blush, the Flesh to Flesh highlighting powder. Two of them. I got 2 highlighting powders. I got the eyeshadow palette, and I also got 3 lip products. I got 1 Strong Flesh lipstick and 2 of the Fleshy Lips lipsticks. So we're going to try this on, and I'm curious about all of this. So if you guys are unfamiliar with this line, it's because it's new. It just launched at Ulta, and I believe it's the brainchild of Linda Wells, who is the creative director at Revlon. She used to be the editor-in-chief of Allure Beauty. I follow her on Instagram, and I saw her start to post swipe kind of pictures of different products, you know, foundation, highlighters and things. And I thought, what is she brewing up? So I was really intrigued by the line right off the bat. And then she announced that it was called Flesh. And I was like, ew. But I feel like, I don't know if I'm making this up, but I feel like I read some of her Instagram posts when she was posting, you know, about the name and some of the names of the products, like the foundation stick is called Firm Flesh Thick Stick Foundation. I mean, that is just such a foul and kind of like raunchy kind of name, and I think they did it on purpose. I think a lot of these names are just a real kind of like to make you uncomfortable in your face kind of name. While I don't think that the product line is similar, I feel like they're going after the same demographic as Glossier. They're going after this kind of like young, hip kind of gal. And while I don't think the Glossier products necessarily like gross me out or the names gross me out, but sometimes their images, you know, they're really close up, they're high contrast, they're really glossy, kind of, I don't know, kind of bordering on like these very young girls in these sort of like compromising positions. I'll just say that. I feel like what Flesh Beauty has done is like taken what we're thinking about those pictures and turned them into like words and named the entire line that. So I don't know, maybe I'm just reaching there, but I just feel like there's a little bit of a similarity between Flesh and Glossier, at least for me. Let's start with the Firm Flesh Thick Stick Foundation. I'm going to have all the information down below in my description box, including the colors that I purchased and prices for everything. I have just washed and moisturized my face, so it's ready to go. And if you guys are new to my channel, welcome. First of all, my name is Michelle. But when I test foundations, I don't put any primers down or anything in addition to my regular moisturizer. So we're going to go straight in. And I got the color 08 Custard. Now, the big sort of hoopla around this Flesh release is that they came out with 40 different foundation shades, which is, you know, applaudable in this day and age. I think it's also the very trendy thing to do, and it's a great way for companies to kind of gain a lot of positive attention. So I think that was a good move on their part. So here's the foundation, and of course the first thought that came to mind for me is how small this foundation is. And I'm going to hold it up to something that will kind of give you better reference. So here is the foundation stick. So here's the lipstick and here's the foundation stick. I'm not exactly sure why this is so small. I don't know if you're supposed to use just the most minuscule amount, but I guess we'll find out. So the description on the back of the box says, thick stick is a foundation, concealer, or in a darker shade, a contour, but it doesn't firm your skin. In parentheses, that's magical thinking. So to use, scribble it on directly and blend with fingers, sponge, or brush. All right, I have a freshly cleaned sponge here, so I'm gonna go ahead and start by applying it to one side of my face. Hopefully this color works. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting this. It is about 9:45 in the morning. This foundation is definitely on the thicker side, which is why I think they say you can use it as a concealer as well. The coverage with those few stripes that I used, I would say is like a medium. I think the shade match is pretty good. We'll have to see if it oxidizes or does anything funky, but for now it seems pretty good. Just gonna add a little bit more here. Seems to be blending out very nicely. I don't seem to be having any trouble with it. It doesn't seem like it is, I don't know, doing anything weird. Sometimes I feel like stick foundations can be a little bit either too oily or too dry. All right, so there it is applied to one half of my face. And again, you saw how much I put on, and I don't feel like the coverage is too full, which works for me. But I think from the description of this, I would expect a fuller coverage. So if that's what you're looking for, I don't think you're gonna get it, at least not right off the bat. But let's go ahead and see if we can build this up. I'm just gonna go ahead and swipe just a little bit more down here and see if we can completely cover up the redness that I have along my jawline here. It could also be because I'm using a sponge, which tends to shear things out. So I think it went from like a medium coverage to like a medium full, but I still see a lot of the redness that I have right here. So I don't feel like I'm reaching like full coverage status. The finish is very, very natural. I don't think it looks exceptionally matte. I also don't think it looks exceptionally dewy, but there is a little bit of like just a natural kind of like satin finish kind of coming through. So let me go ahead and apply it to the rest of my face. Just for shits and giggles, I do want to see like how much is in this little stick. So that's all the product that you're getting. It really is just a small, small amount. So on this side, I went in just a little bit heavier, just right off the bat. And I feel like it looks a little bit cakey right here. I think on this side, when I went in just a little bit lighter and doing it twice was a better move than like putting too much on all at once to try and get the same amount of coverage. Yeah, it just definitely seems a little cakier on this side. I'm gonna take a foundation brush now and just try and build it up a little bit around my eyes as like a concealer. So I'm just using a Sigma F82 brush, and I'm just going to swipe the brush like over the foundation here just to pick up a little product. Brush that onto my eyelids. Let's see how that works. The coverage definitely got built up there. I think I may like the brush. It seems to have applied it a little bit more flawlessly. I feel like the skin around my eyes looks a little bit more airbrushed. So I think I'm gonna try and smooth out this area, especially where I feel like it looks cakey. Kind of just buff it in with the brush and see if that helps. All right, yeah, I'm gonna say that I like using a brush with this much better. I feel like you can really work the product in. Even though it doesn't really have like full coverage, it is a pretty thick consistency. So I think the brush really helps in like buffing in the product, where the sponge just sort of, I don't know, just kind of plays around with it a little bit. This really works it in. All right, let's do some close-ups. I think it's picking up a bit of my texture, the texture that I have around here on my forehead. And for those of you who don't know, I do have very dry, sensitive skin, and I have some leftover eczema texture here on my forehead. So I think this foundation is kind of picking up on that a little bit. Hopefully the camera can pick that up for you. And I'm also seeing a little bit of kind of cakiness around my chin, which also happens every once in a while with foundations. All right, so far this foundation is okay. Not my favorite, but it's all right. And I would be curious to see reviews on this with someone with like oilier, maybe normal oily combo skin, and just see how it's worked out for them. It's not very tacky. I do feel like I should put maybe a little bit of powder down before I go in with any of these other products. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. I got the blush, which is actually a cream blush. So this is called the Tender Flesh blush, and this is in the color 14 Glaze. Let's take a look at this. The back of the box says, with coconut and sunflower seed oils plus pomegranate and ginger root extracts, this blush is uncommonly soft. It is made in Italy, by the way, and the foundation is made in the US. So here is what the packaging of this looks like. It's almost like a metallicized brown. It is a hard plastic, and it is taped shut. Oh no, I'm totally lying. This is not a cream blush. The pan has an imprint. I don't know if you guys can see it. it looks like a gigantic print, like a thumbprint on there. And so when I saw the picture of it online, it looked like someone had like gone in and like swatched it. So I thought it looked like cream to me. Anyway, it's a powder. So I am gonna powder my face a little bit with some powder that I already have, and then I will come back and use the highlighters and the blush. All right, I put on just the lightest layer of powder. Let's go ahead and let's first play with the highlighting powders. So I got 2 of them. These are the Flesh to Flesh highlighting powders. One is the color Jump, and same idea as the blush. It has coconut and sunflower seed oils plus pomegranate and ginger root extracts, and the powder itself is supposed to be very, very soft. So here is the shade Jump, and it is very, very soft. Here is a finger swatch, and here is, ooh, that's very pretty. Very, very pretty. I think this shade is going to work out really well for me. This is also made in Italy with international components. So that is Jump, and then I also got Lift. And here is Lift. It is a bit deeper. Ooh, this one feels softer. Here is Lift. And this one seems much more pigmented too. Let me go back into this Jump one. I wonder if I just had to go through that first layer. It's soft, but it's not quite as soft as the Lift. So here's Jump and here's Lift. And Lift is definitely going to be more of like a bronze topper for me. And this one I feel like is softer and more pigmented than the Jump. So I'm going to go ahead and try the Jump color first. I've got my Sonia G Sculpt 2 brush. I'm just going to pat it in here. This brush tends to pick up a lot of products, so I'm not going to go too crazy. Well, that's very pretty. It's like a warm, kind of like champagne-y kind of color. Really nice. So there it is on my cheeks. And I may regret this because I think this color definitely is too deep for me, but I'm going to go in with my Tom Ford bronzer brush and go into this Lift highlighter, which is the darker one, and just see if I can put this where I would normally bronze. I haven't put on any bronzer, I'm sure you can tell. My face looks completely flat and pale. But let's try this and see how this works. Probably too shimmery. It's giving me like a little dimension to my face, but it is very shimmery, as you can tell. So if you don't like shimmery bronzers, I would not get this as a bronzer. I mean, it is a highlighter, but I was hoping to use it as either a bronze topper or just a bronzer for those days I don't mind being extra special shimmery. So not too bad. Not too bad as a bronzer. I really like those powders. They definitely are very, very soft. They blended very, very nicely. So now let's give the blush a whirl. And again, this is Glaze. And I'm going to use my Tom Ford blush brush. Very, very pigmented. I like this color a lot. I'm glad I got this one. I was really hemming and hawing over like which blush shade to get. But this one looked the most kind of like sun-kissed, burnt kind of color, which, as you guys probably know at this point, I really like. So this blush, sorry, I should give you a swatch. This blush has definitely a little bit of like a satin shimmer to it. And there it is. Very pigmented, as you can see. I got quite a bit and I knocked off excess and everything on my arm, so be careful with this one. But there is the blush. Really pretty. If you like a terracotta kind of burnt blush shade, this one is for you. All right, I think my blush is looking a little too strong, so maybe at the end I'll just use one of my finishing powders and kind of buff it out, kind of dull it down a little bit because it's pretty. Next, let's move over into eyes. So I got the 9-pan Flesh Color eyeshadow palette, and let me go ahead and open this guy up. It has, let's see what the back of the box says. This tidy palette holds 7 perfect neutrals, 1 flashy gold, and a brave bright pink. And this is also made in Italy. The packaging is, it's like a plastic, and it's got the names on the back. And this is kind of like a matte, I don't want to say soft touch, it's just sort of like a matte paper exterior. Kind of looks like a book. It comes with a little brush that I'm going to remove because I won't use it and it'll just fall out, but this is what the little brush looks like. And it comes with a pretty big mirror here. And you can fold that all the way back. And then here are the 9 shades. Really very pretty. So these are all matte down here, and then these are all shimmers. All right, so I'm going to start at the top. I'll do the first row here. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Wow, that looks really nice. They do have shade color names. This is Expose, Unveil, and Rush. And then let's do these next 3 here. Ooh, those look nice too. And this is Chasm, Taste, Feeling. So Chasm, Taste, Feeling. These look really, really promising. And then here are the last 3. Ooh, these feel really soft. Okay, maybe not that black. This one feels a little hard. So here is Mind, Touch, and Nerve. Wow, that black is very black. Those 2 browns look very close to me. But there is the eyeshadow palette swatched out. And as you probably noticed, the names are on the back, but they're not on the actual palette on the inside. Let's start playing with these eyeshadows. So I think I'm going to start with this kind of lighter matte brown shade here at the bottom, but it is kind of dark for a color that I would go in with first, but there isn't anything else that would work. So I'll just give this a shot. I'll just be light-handed with it. I'm using my Tom Ford blender brush. I'm just going to pick up a little bit, maybe run some off here. Wow, this is performing very nicely. It's performing like a very creamy kind of matte. Blending out really nicely. It's also building up very nicely because I am going in very, very lightly. Wow, I have to say I'm pretty impressed right now with how nicely these are blending out and applying. I'm going to go into this center shimmer shade here. I'm going to use my Sigma E25 brush. I want to see how these work with a synthetic brush. I'm going to pat this on the center part of my lid here. Nice. Really nice. Wow. This color is really nice too. It has a little bit of like a rosiness to it. I want to go into this kind of taupey gold shade up here and see how shimmery this is. So this is like a little bit more loosely packed. Let's see how this performs. This shadow has like a little bit of fallout. I haven't experienced fallout with the other ones yet. This could be one of those shades that's better either with a finger or maybe wetting the brush. All right, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna use my MAC Fix Plus, just spritz the brush once. I'm gonna go back into this taupey metallic shade. I'm gonna try that again with the MAC Fix Plus and apply it to my other eye here. Maybe. So that shadow's okay. I don't think it's the best kind of like shiny metallic shadow I've ever used. It blends out really nicely, which sometimes I feel like I have a problem once I like wet a shadow. I feel like it becomes just like so thick that when you try and like kind of nicely blend it out, it just looks kind of chunky. But this one's doing a nice job here. Let's try and put some of that purple shade down. So I'm going to take my Sonia G Worker 1 brush. I'm going to just kind of get the tips of the bristles into this bright purpley pink color here. And I'm going to place it right where the gold meets like the other colors over here and just put it there and see if I can blend that out. It's nice. I feel like it looks really nice kind of brushed over all these other colors because it's kind of sheer, but I kind of like this sheer effect that it has. There is the pink accent there. I kind of like that. I think it looks really nice. I think it blended out really, really nicely. Like I got a nice kind of like gradation there. I'm liking it. And I could definitely kind of like build it up. All right, I'm going to go in with my Pencil 2 brush from Sonia G. I'm going to go into this matte darker brown and line my eyes with this. So those are my eyes lined with the dark matte brown. So I'm just looking around for another brush because I do want to try this white color and put it on my inner corners. I'm just going to take this small shader brush and go into this white shade. It may be a little bit too stark, but let's see. All right. Wow, I really like this eyeshadow palette. I think the shadows worked really nicely. I'm gonna add just a little bit of the dark matte brown, the one that I used to line my eyes. I'm gonna use my Tom Ford blender brush and just add a little bit more to the outer corners here. There, just to give it a little bit more dimension. And then I'm gonna take a clean blending brush and just run it across the top edge here. So let's move on to lips. So I got 3 lip products. I got the one Strong Flesh lipstick in the color Soul. This is what the packaging looks like. Typical looking lipstick. So this, by the way, is magnetized. And the back of the box says, this is hyper pigmented, major color, strong like you. And this is made in the US, feels creamy. That does seem super, super duper pigmented. So that's their Strong Flesh lipstick. And then I got 2 of their fleshy lips. And the back of the box says, this comforting lipstick gives your natural lip color a little extra oomph. So I think these are like a tinted balm or sheer lipstick. So this is the packaging. And it has kind of a clear top to show you the color of it. And this is color Gorge, number 5. So the lipstick is shaped much like the Clé de Peau lipstick. It kind of has that petal top to it. Ooh, that's nice. So it definitely is like a sheer lipstick. And then I also picked up shade Hungry in this sheer lipstick formula. And here's what Hungry looks like. And this is like peachier, of course. So let me go ahead and swatch these fleshy lip colors first, fleshy lips lip colors first, because I think those will remove really easily. And then I'm going to go ahead and end with this Soul, this bright coral color. It feels nice. So this is the shade Hungry. It's a little bit peachier than I'm used to, but I think it works for the summertime. And now let's try Gorge. That's nice. Definitely like a My Lips but better kind of color. Now let's try the Strong Flesh lipstick in Soul. So there is the color Soul. You guys know how much I love these kind of orangey red colors. It feels really nice for a very pigmented kind of lipstick. Feels like a cream lipstick. It definitely doesn't feel like a matte lipstick. And I would say the finish is also more of a cream. There's a little bit more of like a natural finish there. So I'm gonna go about my day and I wanna do like a little wear test with all of these products. See how everything wears, especially the foundation. It's like 10:45 now, so it's been about an hour since I started applying everything. I feel like it's looking a bit nicer. Like it's kind of like melding with my skin a little bit more. I feel like the heat of my skin is probably helping that kind of stick foundation consistency, kind of like meld down a little bit. So I will definitely do a check-in kind of mid-afternoon, and then I'll be back around dinner time to give you my final thoughts and show you what has happened to the makeup. I will probably take this lipstick off and put on one of the fleshy lips because I think I'm going to be hitting the dog park today, and this is like a lot of fever for the dog parks. So anyway, I will be back in a couple hours to give you an update. Hey guys, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I've had this makeup on for about 4 hours now, around 4 hours, and I just wanted to come on here and give you my thoughts on the foundation mainly and the eyeshadow. The blush and the highlight I think still look really nice. I think they look great. The blush, as you can tell, has not faded at all. And I've actually been out and about. I've run a couple errands. I took my dog for a walk. It is very hot outside. It's about 102 degrees outside. So it's quite possible that the sun kind of burned this makeup onto my skin. But in all seriousness, I was a little bit sweaty, so I was afraid all of this would kind of, I don't know, fade a little bit, but it hasn't. I think the blush is still very, very pigmented and you can still see it on my face. The eyeshadow, I am noticing that there's a bit more fallout, especially with the gold shade. At least that's what I'm seeing on my cheeks. I see a lot of kind of like gold sparkles down on my cheeks, and much more so than when I first applied it. To the foundation, I think that's probably what you guys are most interested in. I feel I have very mixed kind of feelings about it. So over here on my jawline area where I have a little bit of texture, my skin is very, very dry there. I think it looks okay. I think the foundation sort of melded with the help of like the heat of my skin, and it kind of just melded with my skin, and I think it looks pretty nice there. Where I think it's kind of falling apart is this whole area of my face where I tend to be a little bit more oily. So the tip of my nose is a little bit more oily. Down here actually is a little bit dry, and then down here on my chin it's a little bit oily. So I feel like it's sinking and kind of emphasizing the lines around my mouth, my expression lines there. I feel like it's caked up a bit around my nostrils, and I didn't do any powdering around my nose. I only powdered right here on my cheek and a little bit on my forehead where I was going to be placing these other powder products so that it wouldn't skip or do anything weird. But I didn't put any powder around my nose. So I know it's not that. I know it's just the foundation. And then I feel like around my mouth, it just looks cakey. Like it's just starting to look really thick. I don't know if you can see this area right here, but it's just starting to look like it's clumping up a little bit. I don't know if that's the oils in my skin. It's just kind of not meshing well with the foundation. So I am not that happy about that. I seem to have the same coverage around the redness on my jawline, around the redness around my nose. So that's good. Yeah, I'm just not liking kind of like the funkiness that's kind of happening around my nose and my mouth. So that's our 4-hour check-in. I will be back around dinner time, hopefully another 4 hours. So around 6 o'clock to kind of give you my final thoughts and see what is happening in this area. I'll see you then. Hey guys, it's about 5:30 in the afternoon, so I have had this on for about 8 hours, almost 8 hours, like 7.5 hours. Anyway, let me just get some things quickly out of the way. These lipsticks they're very nice, but I don't think that there's anything too special about them. A strong Flesh lipstick, the one that I have in Soul, this super bright coral color. It's like a typical cream, highly pigmented lipstick. Again, nothing too special. These fleshy lips, kind of sheer lip colors, very comfortable on the lips. I've purchased quite a few of these kinds of lipsticks lately, like one from Chanel. Of course, I can't think of any others at the moment, but they're nice. Again, nothing really stood out about them. So lovely. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, but I don't think they're especially unique. The eyeshadow I liked a lot when I put on. Now I just feel like I see just a crap ton of fallout underneath my eyes from that gold shade. So I didn't put any setting spray on or anything, and I know that would probably help, especially if I use something strong, like the Urban Decay All Nighter or the Skindinavia setting spray, something like that. But I didn't use any kind of setting spray. Again, I was mostly testing for the foundation, but there's so much fallout from the gold. And if I have eye makeup on, I never ever touch my eyes. I never ever rub my eyes. So it's just been this like rainfall all day. I also feel like the pigment has faded a little bit on the outer corners. Again, I've been out a little bit, so I kind of get that. That's really no big surprise to me. So again, I like this eyeshadow palette. The fallout is a little disturbing, and so I think it's a good palette. I don't think it's great. The 3 things that I really loved are the 2 highlighters and the blush that I got. So the blush and the highlighters were just really beautiful. They're very, very soft. They are very pigmented. This blush especially, I was very impressed with. Again, I have the color Glaze. I know with powder blushes, the main complaint generally is that it fades pretty quickly. It did not on my skin. And then the 2 highlighters I thought were really lovely. I like the highlighty quality of it. It's not over the top, but it's not too subtle. You can definitely still see it. So I like that. The product I like the least is this little foundation stick. Not only is the name of it like a total turnoff, but I don't think much has changed since my first check-in, but I was looking in the mirror, and I think I mentioned this in I can't remember which foundation. I guess it was the Sunday Riley, because that was my least favorite foundation that I reviewed during the foundation week. And sometimes there's like maybe nothing majorly wrong with a foundation, But sometimes there's foundations that just don't do anything for your complexion. They just don't do anything for your face. And I feel that way about this particular foundation. It just doesn't do anything. It definitely has faded around the tip of my nose, so I don't think it's great for oily skin. It's definitely very cakey around my chin. It's definitely getting worse around there. It's definitely sunken into these lines here. I don't know. I feel like my skin looks a little bit weird. It's like I see it. It's like it didn't really kind of like fully mesh with my skin. I felt like it started to. I felt like my skin was warming it up a little bit, and it was definitely kind of meshing with my skin down here. But I think as the day has gone on, I just feel like the center of my face, it just looks like I kind of have makeup on, even though it doesn't look heavy. I hope that makes sense. This definitely does not compete with any of my like favorite foundations, especially the ones that I've been using a lot lately, like my Chanel Healthy Glow, my La Mer Reparative Skin Tint, the La Prairie, the Cushion foundation I've been using. It really doesn't hold a candle to any of those. So I think I'm going to be returning this guy and maybe the eyeshadow palette, because knowing that it's got this much fallout from that gold shadow, I don't think I'll be reaching for it. I do like it though, so I'm not exactly sure, but I do think I'm going to be returning this to Ulta because it's just okay, but I know I'm not going to reach for it next to all of my other foundations. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun with me checking out this new Flesh Beauty line. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, down in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts on this new beauty line and what you think of it, and if you think you're going to pick it up. And don't forget to subscribe before you leave. I will see you in my next video.